It's now time for Monster Soup, with your really fun at parties host, Dave Spencer, and his level-headed co-host, Brian McKinney. These dudes will explore all the crazy mysteries roaming off forest and deserted hallways. After all, monsters are real. It's Monster Soup time right now. Get it while it's hot. Now your hosts, Dave and Brian.
Hello. Welcome to Monster Soup, the kitchen and conversation of misfits, cryptids, and these kids. I'm David Spencer, your golden retriever host, and with me on the streets they call him Booty, but in this podcast we call him Brian McKinney. Welcome, Brian McKinney.
Welcome. Hello. So your tag, I didn't realize it says host of Feral Raccoon.
I changed it every week.
Well, yeah, I just hadn't noticed it prior to us going on the air. Usually I see it ahead of time.
Yeah, I don't know if I've dug myself in a hole because every week I go to log in and I'm just like, oh, I need a second tag, and I just sit there for 3 minutes and go do I just not do this anymore? And I can't do it. Even though it's a non-committal thing that only 20 people will see, or maybe even 20, 10.
I'm surprised you've never went to the name that you use on the streets of Vegas.
What is it? Lasers Bahama?
Lasers Bahama.
Yeah. What you don't know is the best thing to do in the world is to go to a place that you are unaware of, or that you are not a part of, and just give yourself a different alias, so you can just be a silly man out of the silly world. And just do that, and it's fantastic. So I'm Lasers Bahama when I go to Vegas, and actually, so you guys have been doing this for years, but you dress up on the plane to do a thing, and we decided it was gonna be Hawaiian shirts and fanny packs and something else, just looking real touristy and silly. And I remember I had sunglasses on, and I'm in the food court just standing there, and I just see this teen kid just kind of raise his phone to take a picture of me, because I noticed he did it, so I kind of hammed up what my pose was, the real cheesy, just to kind of really sell the fact that I'm just hi, my name's Greg. But then so it's just a fun time just to be a different person.
Yeah, one of the real fun ones we did was before you guys went with us. We had there must have been 10 or 12 of us, and almost all of us at old Value City, where used to have the thrift store kind of stuff. They just randomly had Harlem Globetrotters sweatsuits, sweatpants, matching sweat zip up sweatshirt. I mean, straight up look like the uniforms they wear on the court, right before they take them off to play, their warm-ups,
Okay.
And there was 10 of us, and we all bought them. We got on the plane, and we're all wearing the exact same Harlem. It was so, and we get on the plane, and people are like, "You guys work for the Globetrotters or something?" And we're like, "No, we're just big fans," And we
should have been
Vegas with Globetrotters outfits.
You should have went down the aisles Scream Team style, high-fiving both aisles, just
Yeah, it's fun just to
I don't know what.
Yeah, people that they don't know who you are. You just go and you act silly, and you can kind of that's the beauty of especially a place like Vegas. It's you could do as much or as little as you want, but you could totally just be hey, I'm gonna do out of the box kind of stuff here that I would never do at home. Whatever that is. It could be anything, but you could just let loose or
I feel like there's no ceiling on how silly you could get, because Vegas is so unhinged all the time that in whatever my top is of being absolutely ridiculous, it'll never ever top whatever nonsense that I will just see on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Just some guy riding a unicycle dressed as a bear who also sells you weed. You're just hey, what's up? We're just Yeah, my name's Spatula Kitty Cap. You're all right, bud, whatever. It's 3 a.m.
And speaking of, I think one of the people in the chat right now might have been wearing one of those Globetrotter outfits with me.
Yeah, what's up, Scott? Yeah. So if you're joining us live, it is Friday at 5, kicking the weekend off right. We do have a hard out at 6 because I have a friend's Thanksgiving, which Brian, you're coming to right after the pod, which we thought about doing this together on the couch, but then we just kind of were like, just do it at your house and then we'll just come over and whatever. Eventually we will do that though. I like the idea of we can have what is it? Sweatpants spookies episode where we literally just we can sit there in tracksuits. Oh my god! Wait, hold on.
You go. Absolutely,
tracksuit. But yes, I have a Friendsgiving. Which, by the way, if anybody out there isn't doing a Friendsgiving, you're really missing out. It's a fantastic time just to like get people together who aren't your family, and you could just like vibe out, like eat food, drink drinks. We used to do it all the time when we were younger, and we used to come home with all the leftovers and stuff, and because we were the young poor college kids, and they're like, oh, take all the ham you need or all the turkey, and you'd be like, oh, so you have all this like insane amount of food, and then you're like, well, this is like maybe too much food, so like your other friends you would just be like, oh, I also have like a ton of turkey, so we would just come together with all of our food and hang out with friends, and then so that was the Friendsgiving, and then one year my son was sick, and then he was sick the year after that for like something else, just like couldn't be around anybody, so we were like, oh, okay, and then it kind of just faded out, and then
it's been a few years.
Yeah, Patty like
and the nice thing about today, usually it's always like after Thanksgiving, so it's all leftover, so it's like day old food or whatever. It's the scraps that nobody it's gonna be fresh food. Like tonight we're gonna be eating it for the first time, So
that is the thing that happens. Yeah, when you get older, you have to actually cook your own food, so you no longer get leftovers, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It is awesome to not cook, but actually, it was Becky always brought over just a plate full of double cheeseburgers from McDonald's, which is nice. I gotta tell you, you put a slice of turkey on there and mashed potatoes. Shut your mouth! It's amazing. Listen, I'm a in a fatter kid's body, like I love that stuff. Let's go. Just I am Mexican today, and I ordered most of the time I just go. I know what I want at Mexican like food or at a Mexican restaurant, but I don't know ever what it's called because it feels like like how do you want your beans and rice arranged kind of thing. I'm just like, I don't know, just put it all in there, wrap it up, and I will love it. Like all the stuff you have here is wonderful. Like you can't give me anything I'm not going to not enjoy. I just really want like a sea of rice and beans like on one side, and then just like 5,000 burritos, and then I just want to like cut it up and make it into a mound, and then just work my way down. And I finished so quickly. I was so mad. I was just like, I want more. I'm so hungry because I just eat it so often. I get excited and I was like, and then it's like over. But yeah, it was amazing. So I had that today, and they're gonna have food tonight, and I'm just gonna be like in a little coma. Try not to black out tonight. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, you're gonna be falling asleep on the couch at like 8:00. You're like, I had too much to eat.
Yeah, well, I just chugged a coffee, so not that I need one, but like I don't know why I use so many stimulants. I'm already stimulated by most things in my life, but so today, what our topic is UFOs. We had talked about it last week, but I really wanted to dedicate the whole episode to that because, we have big news that just came out, and it's all I've been talking about. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's all I want to talk about right now. It's so much fun talking about UFOs and all the things that are like kind of flying around in our skies that we don't know about, or do know about. I mean, being an avid fan of this stuff since I've been a kid. Of space in general, unknown things in general, just all that stuff. I think that stuff is so much fun and so cool. I just want to talk about it. So I don't know. You want to add anything to that, to what I'm saying, or
no? I mean, absolutely. Yeah, same kind of stuff. Like I've always, been fascinated with science and things like that. I love looking up at the sky. I mean, heck, half the time, come over to your house, or if you're over at ours and we're sitting by a fire or something, I'm always like, oh, look, there's the space station. Like I'm always just kind of looking up to the sky, keeping an eye out for stuff like that, hoping to one day not see the Starlink satellites and actually see a real UFO.
Shut up, Brian. Shut up. That was a UFO we saw. It wasn't the Starlink satellite.
But yeah, just totally fascinated by like the depths of space and just everything that's out there, and it's such the unknown. Yeah. And then we have all the the different alien sightings and UFO sightings and all the weird stuff that happens here, but it's like that's only like literally like a grain of sand compared to like everything that's out there. It's just so vast. Like it just blows my mind to think about
like
that.
the explored universe, and not even explored, like just seen universe is like so like not as there's just so much more beyond like what we know, and I think that's just like like sometimes you think you got it all under control, you're like, oh yeah, like we know everything, and you kind of like you get to a story night, you look up, you're like, we don't know any of this, like we don't know any of this. Like, you know, like what's there, like really. And you know, we're also looking at the past, like when we go look up, like that isn't now, that is before, like all that light is from
looking into the
long
past
ago. Yeah, we're looking at literally like a time machine, like in the sky, which is just so fantastical and crazy and just blows your mind. And it just makes you feel so small. Like, have you ever seen the pale blue dot photo from they talked about it on Cosmos like back in the 70s, like when they
yeah.
And it just shows you how just like insignificant and like like, I mean, we're obviously as a unique because we have life, but like but we're just so in the vastness of even just a couple planets away, being in Saturn, looking past it through the rings, you see this tiny little blue dot right past the rings, and it just, I mean, it just dwarfs you because you've only seen like the picture from like the moon, and you're just like, oh, that thing is crazy and big and all, and I mean all of it, and then you just go to Saturn, and it's like,
yeah, like we're that tiny little dot, you know.
Yeah, and it's just like
blue. Like now you could pretty much look up, you know, depending on the time of the year, and you see Mars because it's got that reddish, you know, tint to it. So it's like, oh, you can tell that's Mars over just a star or something else, you know. And on those from out in space looking at us, it's like, oh, we're the little blue one, you know. But it's crazy to think about everything that we got going on down here, and we're just that little tiny blue dot. And I
actually just saw it was a video from the what's the thing called, the rover, the Mars rover, a picture of their night sky on the Mars rover, and it was just, I mean, because they have like a thin atmosphere there, it's not like ours, so like people are like, oh, if we only didn't have light pollution, it's like no, they literally just have a different atmosphere. Like that sky is exploding with light, like we could turn all of our lights off right now, we're not going to get that sky. But it was just like that, even that was just like, oh, there's the galaxies. Like, you know, like you can see like full galaxies. And it's wild to see that kind of stuff. And again, it just makes you feel smaller and smaller and smaller. So if there isn't life outside of our Earth, then it's just an incredible waste of space. You know, no pun intended. I mean, it's absolutely, I mean, just getting the Explorer that we sent out as like or not the Explorer, what was it called?
Voyager.
Yeah, the Voyager that we just put out. That just left our atmosphere like a couple, like 3 years ago, something like that. It just crested past our like solar system, like and there's literally like a filament, not a filament, but you know, like a space between that's like, and they were like, when that sound goes away, it's gone. Like that sound means it's past that point. And we just reached past there. And I remember hearing that on like a radio lab, like a long time ago. They were talking about it, and I was like, oh, it's so neat. I love it so much. But it also just means that like that thing's never going to reach anything, really. I also saw a theory today, and I did some research on just like, but listen, some of the alien stuff I feel like gets a little maybe too much for me, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, everyone settle down. They're like, don't tell anybody, don't make too much noise down here on Earth, the aliens are coming to kill us all. And I'm like, listen, first off, please end this. But but also like, it's just like, what do you mean don't make too much noise? It's just like we can only live this isn't Whoville. Like we're gonna keep doing our things, and that's just what it's gonna be. And you know, hopefully we do better for what we are. But I saw this thing today, and I found it, and then I couldn't re-find it. Not because of anything nefarious or I got blacklisted or anything. I just like clicked away from it, and I just couldn't find the thing. But this guy basically saying that he had this like transcript of these like people, and they were just kind of like, hey, like you guys are doing it wrong. the government is aware of the ways to fix all this stuff, and they just don't want to, because they don't want to basically ruin what they already have. Because if you take away, there's also like this like juggling of like economy. It's a lot of it's greed, but a lot of it's just like, hey, we have capitalistic structures set in, as far as energy goes and stuff like that. And if you give somebody a fully free energy, like there's just no money made. And obviously, again, money's made up. It's made up on money's based off of gold, and gold is value that we gave value to gold. It's all made up. So at the end of the day, it's just like, what are we talking about? So to have these technologies and be able to reverse them or whatever, if that's a real thing that's happened from like Bob Lazar back in the day, saying like, hey, we have a spaceship and we're reverse engineering it and giving the thing, and then so just trying to like divvy all that up and trying to figure out what's true. Also, I still have a big issue with like the government's telling us that the government has something, and there's always something that's a little like, but I'm not a distraction guy. I don't think that they're like, oh, what are they distracting us from? I never think that, because there's always things going on. There's always 5 things going on at the same time. I think I can focus. I'm fine. Like I can have my fun little thing and also go like, hey, they're taking away, rights in Memphis or something like that. I can juggle in one hand and, juggle with the other.
Yeah. It's just, the man's always keeping things from us. That's right. Getting some comments in here, but kind of going back to just the vastness of the universe. And if there's nothing else out there, just think about it. Like, there's all of that's out there, and the only thing that's living is the schmucks that live down here. I mean, we're the best that the universe, or not even the universe, like the entirety of the space has to offer. Is what's going on this planet. I mean, we're all a bunch of morons,
Especially, I mean, if like I'm agnostic, so I don't have that in my brain or anything. But like, if we're to believe that to be true, this is all he did. It's so much space. He made like a couple mountains, and he put a bunch of buttholes on a planet, and it was just like, I don't know, they're okay. We're his C- project in science class.
You could even say that, well, all of that is God's creation or whatever, but it's like, well, until we find other definitive life, we're it still. I mean, it kind of goes back to this we're the big deal here.
We're the big
we literally are a bunch of idiots that can't seem to get anything right. Down
get
here
up in the morning and spend money and do things and interact with things and hopefully do the best we can. Which obviously every day is every day is an onion of experience, but you can only experience so much, because you still have to feed yourself and feed your family and make sure you're being like constructive, but also impactful, and be kind to your neighbors and everything. But and by the time it's over, you're too weak to move, and you're just kind of like a little frail man at the end. And hopefully you've brought some meaning to like a bunch of people's lives and stuff like that. But yeah, I love the idea of just like this new awakening. Sounds terrible, because I don't want that to be what I'm bursting into this, but I feel like just more people are like, oh, cool. Like, I didn't know that was, I thought we were just joking. And like, we can have conversations like this with our wives, as opposed to like before, it was just like, okay, whatever. It's like, no, like for reals though. But yeah, it's fantastic. But the one thing I do have to clarify that I watched today is that at no point did they say they lived in our oceans. I know I did name this episode what that ocean do, but but I mean, like, not to disclaim that as like a thing, but during that press conference, apparently that was posited as a question, and it was basically like that's not impossible, but that isn't in our report. That was actually posited by Bobert. She was like, do you think they live in the oceans? And the one thing you shouldn't take you shouldn't take advice from her unless you're talking about multitasking at a Beetlejuice play. So so just like, I mean, so take that with a grain of sand, but with that in mind, I did do some research on. We had talked last week with Tana, and she was telling us about how on the Gulf Shore there's a lot of activity around the Gulf Shore, and that being very close to the ocean. So like, not that it isn't valid that they live in the ocean. It's just, or that they could come from the ocean, but it's just the actual like them saying that wasn't actually part of the thing. It just was like kind of said like as like a, oh yeah, probably, but not like a 100% or anything like that.
And I just now I'm thinking about it because we talked about it last week with her, and she said she had video of like a UFO, and she sent it to us right after the show. We saw it, and it's awesome. Is that possible for you to put that in?
I don't know. I'm sure I could actually
view it. I didn't know if you needed to do that ahead of time or not, but yeah, that was pretty crazy. I was surprised, of what it actually was.
Why don't you vamp for a second and I'll
just that hearing in general was so crazy that you have all the our representatives up there, and they're just like us. They're just like, well, they don't know anything about and then you have these people who are experts in various lines of work within the government, whether it be military or private contractors or scientists or whatever, and they're all just like, yeah, this stuff's real. We have crafts, we have biologicals, we have all this stuff, we've seen this stuff, and they're like, well, who do we ask about this? And they're like, well, and that, they're like, well, we can't talk about it in this setting, and all that kind of stuff. But here we go.
So if you're watching on the live feed or the afterwards on YouTube, you can kind of see I'll put a play on this. It's like a white thing in the sky. She had mentioned last week, if you could see it in person, like when you take a picture of the moon, you take a picture of it, it's much smaller. But the erratic movements it kind of makes, there are certain times it looks like a plastic bag. But like for sure, like it kind of stays. Is it looping? Actually, I don't know. Yeah, okay, it's looping. Same thing. But yeah, so it was just that it started doing this like erratic, like zigzag pattern, which like
because at first I was like, oh, it could just be something falling, from the sky, but it's not just falling straight down. It's zigzagging back and forth and doing different things. But just see something like that, just kind of like in the middle of the day, and that's pretty crazy,
Yeah. I'm gonna stop pretending so I don't accidentally share random bullshit. Forget what I have on the screen. My notes that say cocktail recipes. Anytime I run into a new cocktail. It's just, I don't know. That stuff's cool. I mean, I always take people at their word when they said they saw something in the sky. There's obviously like, anything could be a plane that we don't know about, obviously. But I feel like there's just this different air. And so I was doing some research because there's a really cool lake, and I've mentioned it a couple times, called Lake Baikal. And if you don't know about Lake Baikal, it's literally the deepest lake in the world. It's that tall building that's in Dubai, like the tallest building in the world. You could stack two of those like on top of each other, and it would still fit in that lake. Like, it's so high, or so deep. So back in 2006, I want to say the Russian government released a bunch of documents like that had been unclassified, and they mentioned there's this incident in Lake Baikal where all these divers went down, and they came into contact with these like humanoids like down there that were just around, had these like helmets on, but they were like moving like they had no issue with being down there. And I guess regular, just like, when you see like somebody just like jumping, we've mentioned this before, but like, somebody who lives on a river and they just go jump in the river and they're like, grab it. So the same kind of thing went for them. They're like, let's get them. So whatever that like, whatever the Russian instinct is, apparently it's just to like, if you see a guy in the water, you swim after him, which is just wild.
Yeah.
Like,
my reaction. My reaction is, I'm getting the hell out of here.
Yeah. Oh, we're not swimming anymore today. So like, but basically they see these like 7 to 8 foot like humanoid creatures like with these weird helmets, and they were humanoid like, and but basically they went to go chase them, and then they turned the tables on them, and they basically forced them all to the surface really quickly. And if you know anything about diving, is you get a crazy thing called the bends that can be fatal. And 3 people died in that incident because they literally threw them out of the water. Like they were in a pressurized depth and they were thrown all the way up, and 3 of them died like after the fact because of that. Because it's super, super dangerous. Your body isn't meant to go underwater like that, and it's not meant to be thrown out of the water that quickly. So, you know, there's something in that has some like weight to it, because again, like there's just been all these cool stories, and we've been kind of shutting a lot of them out because we, you know, you blacklist people for so long, and you do all that stuff, and then people just don't come forward anymore because they go like, well, I still want to be a pilot, so I'm just not going to tell them the crazy thing I saw. So like same thing with that story. It's just like there's all this crazy stuff that like we're just becoming privy to because it becomes unclassified, but by that point you don't have those people around anymore to kind of talk about. And it's just, but the idea of them living underwater just makes like almost so much sense to me. Like movies like The Abyss, that kind of flush that out in a way where you go like, oh, that would make sense. Like seeing somebody do all that. But I don't know. I'll let you speak a little bit.
Sorry. For whatever reason, for me to think about them living underwater like that makes it so much more terrifying than just, you know, we're used to seeing airplanes and things like that, things in the sky. And, you know, they come down and, you know, the little green men get out, the grays, you know, whatever it is. I mean, that would be weird enough. But to see something that would either be living underwater, you know, on its own as its own identity, or even like with the ship or something like that, to me makes it just seem so much more like a monster than just like an intelligent, you know,
I know,
being.
Just a bunch of Abe Sapiens down there. If you ever seen Hellboy, just like you go down there and it's like, hello, how are you? I mean, I would love to see you know, just more research. I would just love to see them like really, really dig deep on this, and they go like, let's just dedicate all the resources to this. Like we're gonna take a chunk of, you know, military spending. We're not gonna buy that tank this year. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do this instead, and just like really like buckle down. Not for let's make a gun reasons. I want common human curiosity to take over with this, because I think that is way more interesting than being like, we're a little scared. It's just like, no, I don't want that. Like I want to be, hey, there's things going on and they're cool and they're exciting, and it's opening not even a new chapter, a new book entirely of like of the human existence, the human story, all that stuff. It's just there's so many unanswered questions when it comes to this. Like it only posits like more to, because once we get past like, are they real, you get to like, well, what are they doing here, how long have they been here, are they among us, you know, stuff like that. And not in the like
we study every other animal species that we see. You know, we find something new, it's like, oh, where did this thing come from, what's it all about, what's its story? You know, you don't just go, let's just kill it, you know.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to use their ships to like make our ships. Like I want to see their ships, and I want them to be part of like our whole vibe. And if we can do that and have like a real dialogue, be like, oh my gosh, like, you know, what are you using for propulsion? They go like, oh, we've actually just used the Earth's magnetic core for it, so we're actually not moving the ship, we're moving the Earth. You know, like stuff like, you know, like just like out of the box thinking of like, no, we don't use like coal or you know, radiation or anything like that. It's, you know, something we've harnessed for thousands of years. You know, we've been there, done that. You guys are actually behind. And we obviously have a lot to learn, because if they can do a ship that can go from here to here, like in a zigzag pattern, which is just a formation we are just incapable of, not even from a ship like way, but in a actually being in that craft, like to do that is like, whoa, dude.
Well,
like
that's
our
one of the
bodies
things,
just can't handle it.
Yeah, that's what they mentioned in a hearing. That was 2 weeks ago now or whatever. You know, they said that, like the F-16 or whatever can get up to like 8 or 9 Gs doing like its most. And I think the craft or the plane itself, the structure, can handle like up to 18 Gs. You know, don't quote me on this. I'm literally just going off the top of my memory, but you know, the body can't go as far as the materials made up, you know, of the actual plane can. But when like the Tic Tac video and some of those other ones, they said that it'd be like, you know, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 Gs. Like the materials that we use wouldn't even be able to handle that stuff. Not by a long shot, to do, let alone the human body. And assuming that there are, beings, in this, it's like, what's going on inside that spaceship that allows them to handle that kind of maneuverability and to not just vaporize,
Yeah, and imagine what that could do just in general for our, like, I mean, if you can handle the stress of being underwater in that like level. Hi, Scott. Your brother's saying hi, like, in the chat.
Hello again.
hello. Yeah, by the way, if anybody is listening to this after that, come join us on Friday nights. It's the fun stuff. It's for the live. You can talk to us and tell us a fun story. Maybe you have a fun, silly story and you want to come on the store.
Yeah, we got Dookie Pickles over here in the chat.
Old Dookie Pickles.
He sounds like he's got a story to tell.
Yeah, with a name like Dookie Pickles, I think he's got a couple stories. You don't get a name like Dookie Pickles just out of the top of your head. Somebody called you that once. Because you had an upsetting night.
Yeah. This coming from the man that walks around Vegas calling himself Lasers Bahamas.
Listen, but I do have stories. I'm filled with stories.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just need to be reacted to them. Like, oh yeah, I forgot this crazy thing happened that it like is wild. But I was just learning about these people that like go polar. I go polar plunging every year at like the first of the year. It's like my kind of like reset for the year. I jump in the water. It's cold as crap. I live in Ohio, so it's just like, oh. And but I do it one time. Apparently, there's people that do it like every week in the wintertime. And I'm like, guys,
why?
What are you doing? It's like those people who listen to like self-help podcasts. Are like, you got to be an alpha male and like and wake up every day and protect your family and carry a gun and make sure you do your best to provide for your family or you're a loser. And I was like, guys,
you can do all that without jumping in the cold lake every week too.
It's fine. Stop pretending like you're actually helping yourself. It's like the worst part of your day is over because you jumped in this water. It's like, no, I do it because it's silly and fun, and then it's over with, and you're like, oh, I can't believe. And I'm usually drunk when I do it. We drink a bunch of whiskey, and I jump in the water, and I'm like, oh, it's fun. It's like a primal moment.
Yeah, and you always do it on New Year's Day, so it's like the first of the year, kind of a celebration. And I know, like every New Year's Eve, I'm like, you know what, Dave? Tomorrow I'm going to do it with you for the first time. And then every time I'm like, yeah, it's kind of cold outside. I'm not gonna do that.
There has been times where I've been walking.
I'm gonna sit at home and watch football.
Been like walking in my car before, and I'm just like walking, like just like to go to the store to get something, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm gonna get in the water in a couple days. Although it's been so warm lately, the water's probably so warm.
I mean, it's been a couple years since the time that you guys had to like cut open the frozen lake just so you could jump into it.
Yeah. That's your wife got it, and she still has like scars from that. like slicing through the ice. But we have an epic picture from that of us like flexing and being like, ah!
That morning she's like, I'm going with Dave and everybody. We're gonna go polar plunge. Do you want to go? And I'm hungover from New Year's, and I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna sit at home and watch the game.
Yeah,
it seems really cold.
I raised money for dogs 1 year with it. That was really cool. I got like $200, I think, to go towards the rescue. Because I love dogs. What that dog do? And I'm a pet that dog. But yeah, I don't know. So I had a point. I was gonna say something about the. So my whole thing is like really, just come say hi. I want them to come and just be like, hey, what's up? Like, we're not gonna hide, but maybe they're like a scared dog. I don't know if it's like if we're kind of like putting intelligence on something that maybe doesn't have the intelligence that we have. Maybe it is like Nope, where the ships aren't ships at all. They're actually just like undulating, just like, I don't know, ship monsters that are like, and maybe they don't have a propulsion system because they're just like not a ship at all, which would honestly be dope as hell, and I'm on board for it. Let's go.
It's something tells me in that scenario we'd be the scared dog, not them.
Yeah. If I see a ship with a mouth on it, I'm digging down. I'm gonna take back everything I said about take me now. Like, oh, I get to be eaten by a ship. No, thank you.
I'm gonna go over in the corner and hide and lick my butthole. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm literally turning into a dog.
I'll stay inside today and forever. No, thank you. But I don't know if I would assume it's not that. I can't imagine there's
Mhm.
like, I mean, who knows really, but I think there's a certain mass level you can get to before you start breaking down as an exoskeleton. But who knows
Yeah.
like what happens down there.
Well,
It's just, or
it
up there.
just in aliens in general, it's like, they talk about there's different kinds of them being like the greens and the grays, and then you've got like
Yeah.
the lizard looking ones, and but it's like
Mhm.
it could be anything. It could come out and look like an octopus. It could be like, why do we just assume it's going to have like two legs and walk around like we do,
Yeah.
kind of a thing. It literally could be anything and be the scariest thing you've ever seen, and could have 15 arms and look like a lobster. You're like,
Yeah. I mean,
in our minds, it's like, and I guess a lot of that's just based off of people saying, from the different crashes, that
encounters.
this is what we've
Yeah.
seen, these are the bodies we found, this is what they look like. People with their eyewitness testimonies are like, well, they kind of look like us. They had the oblong heads and the black eyes and small
Yeah.
jaws, the typical alien looking thing. So I guess that's where all
Yeah.
that comes from. But
Yeah.
but it's like, it could who's to say that just one style of alien to look like that? It could be anything. The
Do you
deeper
think
out
that
you go, the weirder it could be.
Yeah. Do you think that people like I always feel, because I always wonder like why they try to keep it from us. I think that's the big question. It's just like, hey, why are you holding your deck so close to your chest? It's like, you think we can't handle it? Like, but our brains are built for trauma, like in such a way that like it's not gonna break the world to know that this exists. And I just think it's like super exciting to anyway. And there's plenty of people who have it who are excited about it. And you can be anxious about a slew of things. Like it doesn't have to be something as fantastical as this. It can be like, hey, you gotta like all your bills are due this week. That's more terrifying than finding out there's people in the ocean or the skies. That like
going to buy groceries and then having your card get denied or something, and you're like, I got kids to feed. Like, bring on the aliens. That's way better than not having food for your children.
Yeah. Do I have to pay my bills now? Can I go live with the ocean people?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know why anybody would think that we're not ready for this, or there is
most people. Well, I say most people. Maybe it's not even half, but everybody that I know pretty much is like, yeah, they're probably real, and I haven't seen them or whatever. But it's like, if they were real, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, most people, I think, are ready for it.
Yeah.
They're like, hey,
And I have heard a theory that like the reason why there's so many like alien movies and shows and stuff is because like they're preparing us for like a great awakening or something like that, which could very well be true. But I think that's just the idea of like a person like me would write a UFO story, what if like a War of the Worlds.
We're into that, so we would we'd write. We always talk about the government hiding so much from us, and that after seeing what little bit we see about the government, they seem so unorganized and like they're not capable of doing any of this stuff. We assume that that's what's going on, that they're hiding it all. I mean, and at some level they probably are, but I think especially with a lot of the political leaders that we have currently, I think that it leaves a lot to be desired as far as they're being organized enough to hide all of the stuff and then manipulate everything and then put out movies to prepare us for, no, people they're making alien movies because they're cool. That's why.
I know. Yeah. It's like they can't even pass a bill to like help the firefighters from 9/11. I doubt they can like have a mass cover up. It's the thing that we all agree on. Absolutely give those guys everything they want. And we're still talking about it. It's like, okay. Well, and so I think the grand plan of like, I love the idea and the coolness of, the holographic, like Project Blue Beam stuff, like that stuff is fun to like think about, but I just think that we're too dumb to figure it out. I don't think, obviously the people are very easily, I said this before, like a couple weeks ago, I was like, I feel like we should just say, if the next president that wants to get elected, just say, hey, there's gonna be a free pizza party afterwards. And people are like, this is great. Like we're so simple. Everyone thinks we're so complex. And at the end of the day, we all just want to eat pizza and watch TV and like hang with our friends and just like kind of decompress. It's just there's too much. And we all want to believe that we're high thinking, but like at the end of the day, we're not. We're just we're just two dudes talking to a microphone. We don't have any sightings. We just have thoughts and excitement for this. So, and I'm sure the people listening are like, I don't have an experience. I just think they're cool. You like, I think the idea, I mean, if you're listening to this, you obviously have an idea of like fantastical things are exciting to you. Hearing about
on some level.
Yeah, like hearing about a new Bigfoot sighting is like, oh, what happened? Like, you're ready to believe it, and you kind of perk up. Some people would hold back, some people just like go full chest and go, let me dive into this. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Every single part of the story is absolutely true, and I usually tend to vest up a bit, but I'm ready to believe you. But I go like, well, I don't know. Like all of the Dogman stuff I've seen, I've yet to see one that I'm like, yeah, probably. Like a lot of it seems just so weird, but I believe your story that you tell. But usually when it comes to video, it always seems so altered in some way that I'm like, I'm good on this. And even all the Bigfoot stuff, you're just like, well, I don't know if that's a guy or that's just a shadow that you saw that like, because you could have taken that photo and I don't know, I wasn't there. So, like the guy in the Denny's that we met.
Yeah. It's like, especially now with AI and everything, we're gonna get to the point where it's like we're not gonna be able, because you used to be able to say, well, I saw it on TV, I saw it on video, like somebody recorded it. We can't even say that anymore because it can easily be manipulated, and there's people out there who would do that just to be jerks and be like, hey, I made this to try to just fool people.
Look what I found.
So we have to totally be skeptics, even more so than before. But it's like, kind of just going back to the alien thing, and I think over the history of, at least over since Roswell and stuff like that, people see a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of military stuff. It's a lot of because for every one project that finally makes it through and is the stealth bomber and the stealth fighter and that kind of stuff, the U2, there's how many other tens or dozens of things that didn't succeed, or they test it out and they're like, it's too expensive. This, so I think a lot of it is stuff like that. But so I think even going with Bigfoot sighting, people see stuff, they think they see certain things, but of all those things, it's like they could explain away like 85% of them. Okay, but there's still 15%, or whatever that percentage is. It's like nobody can explain this, It's like that's what we're talking about here.
Even if it's just 5%, there's 5% out there of a Yeti story that is not explained away, that is absolutely sitting there. You can say bear, you can say owl, you can say owl bear. You can do all these things, but at the end of the day, somebody saw something that he's like, listen, I know what a bear looks like. I'm a hunter. I've been in the woods before.
They're almost always hunters. That it's not like some person who's never seen a wooded area before walks out and says, oh, I saw this thing, it was weird, and it's just a bear. No, these are people that go out and hunt, and they're in the wilderness, and they live out there, and they explore it, and they know what they're looking at. And when they come back and they're completely scared out of their minds and tell this story that makes the hair on their back stand up, that's pretty crazy. Or you get guys that were like in the military and stuff, and they come back, and not only that, but they're avid hunters. It's like, I've literally like stared down death on the battlefield, and then I went hunting for deer, and then I saw this thing, and I don't know what it was. Like, there's a little validity to that. You're not just like, these guys are full of crap. They just had too many beers while they were out hunting or something.
I know. Yeah, usually those guys are like stone sober anyway. So but I mean, even if we're pulling it back to aliens, like, it's just the one big thing is like, pilots have been in the sky before. Like, the thing they're seeing is just like, hey, listen, I know how a plane moves, and that wasn't how that worked. Like, or even just like see, like, my favorite talk about thing is like time slips. Like, I love talking about time slips, and like I love hearing about them and how people just like miss like whole things of time, where they'll go into like a little thing and it'll be like the past that they like the ground was different. Like, it wasn't the town that we know the town as. The town was like an old town. It was an old timey town. It was Los Angeles, but it was Los Angeles in like 1920. They were like, we could see the cars, and the cars were like Model Ts and stuff like that. And then they're like, and then I went back in the clouds and I came back down, and it was all normal the way it always was. I guess I'm going off topic, but like going back to the ships though, like seeing something that's fantastical, knowing what ships are and knowing what's available as technology for ships, like you go like, that's not how would you even do that? Like, I know I've experienced G-force before, and that's impossible in our current state of living. That's
Yeah.
it's very,
I mean,
it's
and
very
you
cool.
get these old experienced pilots who've seen every kind of aircraft, and all of a sudden they're just like, that doesn't make any sense. That's not anything I've
Yeah.
ever seen before. It doesn't move like an airplane, and the Tic Tac video, or as the guy, I can't remember his name, from the hearing, called it the TikTok video like multiple times.
Listen, maybe he was just listening to XCX, and he's just like, I'm doing the Apple dance. Like,
yeah. But these military pilots who are literally flying like the most advanced airplanes that the world's ever seen, are just like, I don't know what that is, and nothing that we have moves like that. That you have to put some stock behind what they're saying.
I know it's exciting, it's cool. I want more to happen. Like, I want this to be, I want to drop everything we're doing. And first off, I need them to make a machine that folds my laundry. And second, I want them to find the aliens. That's all, like, and then we're golden. And then they can do whatever crap they want to do after that. I don't know. But I just who's the guy from Blink-182? He has his From the Stars thing, and that's it's obviously controversial.
Tom DeLonge,
Tom DeLonge, and I'm surprised I didn't know that. I was just listening to Blink-182 today, but I know some people are like a little skeptical about his whole thing because it almost feels like a money grab, but at the same time, at least he's doing something, and he's kind of the reason why all this happened. But the biggest problem is when these people speak about it, they're so cagey. Like, everyone's so cagey, and you're like, just tell us, man. Like, I understand that like all this stuff is secret, but like, why? Like, what are we protecting? And I understand that you don't want this ship in the hands of like China or something like that. But the problem is, I don't understand why letting people know, like, hey, like, we have this ship. They're not giving us the ship. They're just letting us know, like, plainly, we have a ship. We're working on it. We'll let you know when it, whatever. Here's some humanoids, though, that we have photographs of, because those have been floated around as an idea, as a thing that exists. Like, hey, we have these actual things. Like, what's that going to change? That's not going to give our, enemies or our unallied people any tact. That's just like, hey, there's some scary stuff going on, and maybe let's talk about it.
It's not like they just crash landed here in the US. If it's happened here, it's happened other places too. Like, we're not the only ones that have this stuff.
Like, we're not unique with Roswell. Like, it's just like we're just that one other place that it went to.
Well, then, if you start like Googling stuff, you see, there's Roswell, then there's like UK's Roswell, and there's Canada's Roswell, and there's Mexico's Roswell. It's like everybody's got a Roswell. So if there's tech and stuff, like, everybody has it, whether or not they can, reverse engineer it is a whole other thing. But, it's not exclusive to us,
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're like a country that's like against us and you see something crazy that does land, I wonder if they do think like, does America have this? Like, like, this is wild. So, I mean, there could be something to that, but at the same time, I do wonder why everyone decided to not talk about it. Like, it's just like a collective, like, we found something and we're not trying to talk about it. It's just like, why do you care, Poland? It's like, I don't know. I feel like I just shouldn't tell anybody.
Maybe so, like, they're like, well, if America's not talking about it, maybe we shouldn't either, Maybe they know something we don't,
Was everybody being so quiet? It's like, maybe this is dangerous. Again, I don't care. Please take me now. I love my life. Well, I love everything about it. But
you have like the War of the Worlds movies, or even like the heck was that Will Smith movie?
Independence Day.
Independence Day, stuff like that. It's like, if we were actually being attacked by beings from outer space, we as a world would come together, and be peaceful with each other to take on the common cause. I think it would only benefit us. It's not like we're gonna be like, oh well, you know what, the whole world's being attacked, but we're just gonna sit this one out because they're not gonna come. They're not gonna come for us. We're gonna be Switzerland. We're, they're not gonna care.
You probably haven't, but have you watched Watchmen, right? Like the movie, but in the comic book, there's a different, like, I think in the movie, Dr. Manhattan kind of like essentially nuclearizes like New York he like makes himself to a crater. But in the comic, which is silly, I understand why they changed it, but he basically drops this squid monster on New York, and everybody's just like, oh my gosh, there's a threat from above, let's come together. And I feel like there's some validity to that. I mean, who knows how long it would last, but I mean, it's just like when you yeah, it's like the Florida nuts sharing the skunk ape. Yep. Freaking, you know what, Florida can keep the skunk ape. We don't want anything to do with it.
Nobody wants that thing, you know?
But
there's
yeah,
no
just,
redeeming qualities.
Yeah, he's smelly, he's in a swamp.
Yeah, the aliens show up and they're like, give us your best, and we hand them the skunk ape.
Like, take this guy.
Yeah, we don't want him either. You can have him.
You don't want me? No. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you where's I going with this? Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Let me find it.
I'm saying how we all come together if we were under attack.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, I can't imagine that we wouldn't come together in some capacity. I mean, I guess we're just there's I forget what movie it is. There's like a movie where there's an actual event, I think, that like there was a code switch. No. Sorry, this is a movie. I'm thinking of something different. Where two people are sitting there with their finger on the button, like ready to shoot the nuke because they both didn't want to back down and show weakness. And it's just like, I hope that wouldn't be what's stopping this like from coming. It's like, well, we don't know if they have their finger on the button to fire at us or whatever. And it's just like, well, we don't know if they have these aliens. We're gonna make sure that we don't keep them from each other, but it's only beneficial. And I just feel like everyone's getting in each other's way. It's like, stay off my land. It's like, well, it's not your land, it's everyone's land. Obviously you own your house. I'm just not very territorial.
We'd realize how small we are real quick if some ships started coming down, and
do you think it would change religion, or do you think it would just kind of like integrate? I feel like it would integrate in like a way. I feel like I've heard stories like, oh, they talk about aliens in the Bible, and I'm like, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah,
but you can.
I think they definitely would try to find a way to explain it, and I guess on one hand you could say, well, if the quote unquote, and we're talking Christian God at this point, created everything, maybe he created them too, So I mean, you definitely could find a way to rationalize it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fine because I mean, at the end of the day, church is just therapy for your brain to go like, I need to be a good person this week, and then maybe that week you failed and you go back to church and you go like, oh, I need to remember to be a good person this week, and then so I think that. I don't think that goes away if you find out there's like other beings in this world. Even if maybe I'm very elastic though, so I could be like, oh, I guess religion isn't real, and then you would figure something else out. I mean, we can always integrate it in a way to be like, oh, I just need to be a good person. That's all I got to do. It's my only job here.
I mean, they are talking about a being in the sky, so I mean, it's not too far off of what we're talking about right now. So
I know, and maybe they'll just let us know we're all, you're all Stardust. You're all part of this whole shebang. I mean, we are every single thing is just part of a thing. So boys, what's up, Octopus No Friend? Talking aliens this week. Actually I gotta leave, so we got 6 minutes left because I got a heart out because again we're doing Friendsgiving. But yeah, so I just think this stuff is so cool. I want everyone to just buckle down and not solve it, but give us more. I hope it doesn't turn into like a magic trick where you've learned the magic trick and you go like, oh, that's what it is. But I would love to find out that it's like bigger and bolder than it just like cracks open everything we've ever known. And I want that to happen before I'm dead. Whether it be scary, I freaking I do not care what changes in this world, knowing that I've done nothing but I've open with my kids about like what could be out there without making it weird and being a weird guy. I'm just kind of like everything's possible. Literally everything's possible. Parallel universes are not a theory. They're a thing. We just don't know how to access them. Science based, I guess. And we know space is there. That's obviously there. So how much room we have out there to figure? There's so much to untapped in the universe that we're just like unprivy to. Even just like planets that we're like there could be life there. We have no way of getting there. It's just so. But if we want to keep it to our little globe. It's like we have so much to explore at the bottom of that ocean, regardless of whatever. If they found out there's a wormhole or something that comes to Earth, or if it's just they're underwater, that could be an access point. But I think there's some very cool things we can explore in this world that are untapped and exciting and cool and fun to talk about. At least vamp on it, and then maybe one day we'll have a podcast that's named like aliens found. Like, let's just talk about this forever, and then just whatever. And then also, hey, who knew Bigfoot was flying that ship, and that's why it was driving so erratically, because they don't know how to drive.
Yeah, we never found the bodies because they got in their ship and they left. That's why. Like, who knows? Like, we got to solve these mysteries. And imagine, you get to the end of life, and you pass away, and then you realize there's nothing afterwards. I'm not saying, I'm just assuming that there's nothing. And then you think to yourself, no, it really was in the entire space, all the universe. We really were the only schmucks out there. It was just us. There were no advanced beings. It really was just us, and we were the best that they had to offer.
Yeah, they sent their B student, their non-honor students, just like, hey.
It was just dumb luck. There was some carbon that it came down onto this weird rock, and then some stuff started growing, and then it turned into just a bunch of schmucks like us, and that was it. That was the end of it.
They're like, and I would love to see I would love to think of us as like their hillbilly planet that they know about. They're like, well, we don't really they roll their windows up when they go by Earth.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't really drive through that neighborhood. I don't know. There's so much out there, and so many cool things to be part of. And I would say I always talk about this stuff with people who are not really in it in like a kind of cautious way, because I don't want to turn them off to I understand this is stupid, but let's just go on a little mind exercise and go what if it was this, what if it was this, and then kind of reel them in. But it is always exciting when you run to somebody who's like, I like aliens. You're like, let's talk.
You're like, do we just become best friends?
Yeah. So I want it to happen government wide, where everybody's like, I think we're talking about aliens now. We are the hillbillies of the galaxy. But I wonder if where we'll go, where we're going to be a year from now with this revelation of hey, or not revelation, but people getting more and more on board. Was it a year ago we had this? The other
approximately the first hearing was about a year ago. Yeah, I think so.
So I mean, if this is a yearly thing that we get a little bit of more a thread every year or so, I mean that would be fine. But I really just want this whole thing to be cracked open and show me the bodies, show me the ships.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just it's going to be just like a drip, drip, drip kind of a thing. It's not going to.
I know. I mean, listen, there's people have been waiting for this stuff their whole lives, and they're dead now. So, the least I can get, I'll take my dribble, my broken faucet in the back. Give me a little bit, but I would love to just, I would love to talk about it with people that are just like, oh yeah, and aliens are real, and they're like, yeah, it's crazy, right? Yeah, well, so that milk is going to be, $2.84. And they're like, oh, thanks, buddy.
$2.84. What is that, sale?
Listen, it's all right. We'll gladly pay more for milk. But yeah, so it's just I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird time, but it's a lovely time, and I think just talk to people about it. Make more people aware. Don't be weird out there. Be camera ready. Because God knows there's people who talk about this that have really ruined it for normies like us, where we're just kind of no, we just think it's cool. We're not gonna tell you that Barack Obama is a hologram or anything. We're just oh yeah, I don't know, it's crazy what could be out there, right? It's just wild. And then just ease people in.
But we're also not saying that Barack Obama wasn't a hologram.
I will go on record saying he is not a hologram. That wonderful man. He's only here to give me power speeches and make me feel good. He's like a little soup for me. But yeah. So well, like I said, I gotta go. It's Friendsgiving. Brian, I'll see you in a little bit. Your wife's chicken's been cooking for a while in our house.
Chicken or turkey? I thought it was turkey she was dropping on.
My wife said chicken. I have no idea. I thought it was turkey too, but now I'm second guessing everything I just said. There is a crock pot that you own that is in my kitchen with a meat, and then we got ham.
And anybody that's in the chat, come on over. We're about to have Friendsgiving, so help yourself.
Friendsgiving. Oh, we have monster. We should do a monster soup. Just like eat.
Well, in fact, I don't think there's even any soup prepared for tonight, is there? I mean, I know soup's not really a Thanksgiving thing, but
listen, soup's always a thing, and it should be. Actually, we're meeting with our soup group on Sunday.
Soup groups tomorrow.
I text all the wives, and I was just like, "Are we doing this? I need soup so bad." And so got 2 girls making some soup, and then we're gonna go on. We're gonna take this trip on the road because there's a soup flight that's out in LaGrange, and I'm going ham. Maybe I'll get ham soup, but it's gonna be just like a whole thing. I think it's just like little cups of soup, but you just go
just like little flights.
So excited.
The soup samples.
Cool. Yeah, just so nobody has to cook and like nobody has to clean or anything like that. You just go out there, have a little powwow out at LaGrange and have a good time. But yeah, I don't know. But the kitchen is closed. We appreciate you coming for the spookies, and all that stuff. So, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And I don't know. Thanks for following us on this little trip around the sun and trying to figure out what could be flying around our sun, whether from above or below or all between. All I want to say is holla at your boy. Tell us all your cool secrets. If you're scary looking, maybe, just don't get too close. Or octopus your brothers. I need to know all the things. So I just hope soon everything comes to light and we'll have some fun times and a lot more to talk about as opposed to the weird small talk that we have to do now, like weather and stuff. We can be like, aliens are real. Why are we talking about that?
We won't have to speculate anymore. We could just talk about like it's an absolute real thing.
Yeah. So let's get there and let's make it happen. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody, and you guys have a great weekend. And we take it.